Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, May 2nd, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Jonah Booker in just a moment. A lot to get into. It's funny, there was all this, all this mess about Ohio State paying $20 million for their roster last year, buying a national championship. My friends, we're going to look back on that as one of the best bargains in college football history. You have reports out that Texas might be spending up to $40 million on their roster this year. Yeah, double what Ohio State paid. Texas Tech has a billionaire boosters spending out the you know what. Oklahoma spending a ton. That $20 million is going to look like a good bargain, especially if you win the national championship. Still basking. So I'm going to get Jay Book's thoughts on that. Also, the young man Justin Kirkland that a lot of us wanted to see transfer to Ohio State, the D tackle from Oklahoma State, he's going to BYU. So there's really nobody left in the portal. We're going to get into that as far as D tackle. Or the Buckeyes pretty much set with their roster. Before we do that, I'm going to let you guys know about Huel. It's a really cool product. I'm really enjoying it. The Huel Black Edition ready to drink. It's a meal in a bottle. Yeah, it's a meal that you drink. One bottle contains 35 grams of protein, 27 minerals, and is low in sugar. Huel is a perfectly balanced meal. It's designed by nutrition experts and takes the guesswork out of healthy eating. It's a great product. We have a great deal for you guys. New customers visit Huel.com/Bucknuts. Use my code Bucknuts to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. All right, it's, and it tastes good too. If it didn't, I would not be endorsing it. This is the chocolate flavor. Like it a lot. It has a little bit of a milkshake taste to it. I love that. So, and it's healthy for you. And it's if you're somebody who eats on your commute to work, this is perfect for you. New customers visit Huel.com/Bucknuts today. Use my code Bucknuts to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. All right. Let's bring in my man. Love doing the shows on Friday with my friend Jonah Booker. Let's bring him in here. Jay Book, great seeing you as always. I can see you kind of.
Hold on, let me see what's going on here.
I can see you down in the lower part, but not like the main part here. Let's see what's going on here. So I can see Jonah. I saw him before.
I can see myself on the lower part as well, but I can't see myself on the main screen.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Maybe close out and try and come back in. Live podcasts, my friends. Yeah, maybe close out and just come back in. Yeah.
All right.
All right, don't worry. You guys are not going to be stuck with me. We'll get this figured out. We'll get Jay Book in here. You guys would be disappointed if you were just stuck with me today. So yeah, this all this noise about Ohio State buying a national championship. First of all, it was ridiculous. Like, it's not like they went out and overhauled their roster. I mean, they couldn't have done a better job in the transfer portal, but they brought in like 5 guys. Did they nail all 5 of them? Yeah, of course they did. Caleb Downs, Quinshon Judkins, Will Howard, Kaz Merrick, Seth McLaughlin. I guess Julian Sand was technically a transfer, even though he was at Bama for 1 week. So they nailed it in the transfer portal, but they only landed 5, technically 6 guys. Right? It's not like they overhauled their roster with 25 transfers. What they did was they retained their players. My friends over at the Foundation were integral in that. And guys that in a typical year probably would have turned pro, even though knowing they wouldn't have been a first-round pick. A guy like JTT, a guy like Donovan Jackson, maybe a Jack Sawyer, maybe guys like that thought they would have been a 3rd-round or 4th-round pick without NIL, probably would have turned pro. So it was ridiculous anyway. People are saying Ohio State bought a national championship. Did they really? They basically did the same thing. I hate to use this analogy, but I think it fits a lot. It's basically what Michigan did the previous year, minus the cheating and minus the head coach getting suspended twice in the same freaking year. And all the other stuff that's going on up there. It's a mess. But what did Michigan do, though? They kept their players that normally would have turned pro. And they were a veteran team, and look what they did. So look what Ohio State did. So, and now the reports are out, 24/7 Sports, I know a little bit about them. We did a story, national guys did a story either yesterday or 2 days ago, talking about how Texas is going to be paying upwards to $40 million on their roster, twice what Ohio State paid, around $35 to $40 million. And so we're going to look back on that as a heck of a bargain for the Buckeyes. All right, good to see you for real, my friend.
I know. I had to switch to my phone. I don't know what's going on. It said that they, whatever reason wasn't connected to my computer, but that's all right. Can't miss this one, man. It's Friday, so I was like, let me just hop on the phone and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, the people in the chat were getting worried. They thought they were going to be stuck with me for the whole show. I said, "Don't worry, don't worry. We're going to get the man back in here." So yeah, I mean, do you get a kick out of this? Like some of these stories that are coming out, like Texas is going to be paying $40 million for their up to $40 million when it was such a big deal last year that Ohio State paid $20 million. I tell you what, you better win the national title if you're paying $40 million.
No kidding. I will say this. I wonder if Desmond Howard and ESPN will make this their sole talking point when everything that they reference in Texas football was like, oh, is this this is a $40 million roster. And what were they saying about Ohio State, Dave? Once the $20 million was leaked out, this is boom or bust. When you're spending this type of money, you need to be able to win a national championship. I will say this in regards to Steve Sarkisian. You have what a lot of people are claiming a generational type quarterback. You also have probably the highest payroll in all of college football. There should be zero reason why they're not playing in a national championship. So I think there's a significant amount of pressure on him to deliver, because right now, when you look at Steve Sarkisian in Texas, I think the NFL draft was a black eye for them. And here's why I say that. You had a perfect 100 score quarterback in Quinn Ewers, 5-star, started for 2 years under your quarterback development, and he drops all the way to the 7th round. To me, when you look at quarterback development, you're thinking like, hey, a guy like that should have the opportunity to play, at least, get drafted in the mid rounds. If they come out in Texas and they don't perform at a high clip and Arch Manny's not lighting it up, there's going to be a lot of people questioning Steve Sarkisian and his quarterback development. So I think that number being thrown out, it puts a bullseye on their back. I know Kurt Cinetti from Indiana, he said that Oregon, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, and Texas Tech were the top 5 programs when it comes to spending money. Everybody else is on that next tier lower. I think Georgia's probably up there. There's been some talk, and there was a lot of hubbub about Texas taking 5 defensive tackles in the portal.
Yeah.
There's been some smoke out there that they're paying anywhere between $600,000 to $750,000 per defensive tackle. So that tells you what type of spending. I mean, Lealon Clark, I love him. He just came from Ohio State. He was an assistant defensive line coach to Larry Johnson. He's now the defensive line coach at Texas. If you got that type of oil money behind your back as your sale, you can be an elite recruiter when you're offering $750,000 a pop to defensive tackles across the board, considering you guys already have 5 of them that you picked up in the portal. That's not including the freshmen that you have coming in and the 2 or 3 guys that are leftovers from last year's roster.
It's exactly what's going on at Texas Tech too. I mean, it's more expected at Texas, obviously, a blue blood, but like Texas Tech, they have a billionaire, like I was referencing earlier, oil guy, like you're saying, who's just throwing tons of money around. Even bought a softball player for $1 million, transferred from Stanford. This guy's just throwing money around like crazy at Texas Tech. So they might be a dark horse here. I like your Arizona State. Well, obviously you're a Buckeye first and foremost, and a Bobcat since you played for the Bobcats. But I know you like the Sun Devils as well, living there. I saw they have everybody but Scatabo returning as a starter, pretty much.
They're loaded.
Yeah.
There's Arizona State. They're loaded. I mean, you look at Kenny Dillingham. He's a very innovative coach. Came from Oregon, but he's a local Scottsdale kid. Right. And he has that program rolling. They probably have a quarterback that's going to be pushing to go into the first round. And you look at in their wide receiver, they have a wide receiver that's projected to be a first-round wide receiver. So I think they probably are going to be the favorites to win the Big 12 again and get into the playoff. But they're solid, man. I mean, it's a good football program. And the great thing about Arizona State, Dave, you could probably go catch a game for $15 and great seats down there, because it's not like it's a huge ticket sale going on there. Like you can go there, walk up to the gate, and it's like, hey, let me get a seat, and probably sitting 30-yard line bus midway up the stands. So it's fun. Their games are fun, and The Arizona Buckeye, the Cardinals, man, holy moly, they love them some Ohio State Buckeyes, the Cardinals.
Heck yeah, they keep loading up on Buckeyes. I love it. They get 2 more this year. Cody Simon in the 4th, Denzel Burke in the 5th. Obviously, it took Paris Johnson in the 1st, early in the 1st, took Marvin early in the 1st. Loading up on Buckeyes.
They picked up Josh Fryer.
Yeah. Yeah, as an undrafted free agent. Yeah, I love it, man. And Justin Fry's down there as an O-line coach.
Yeah, Justin Fry down there. And then they picked up Baron Browning. They made a trade for him.
That's right. Yeah. About that. Oh, man. He's really loading up. Man,
yeah,
Baron there. Heck yeah.
Yeah, it was fascinating because driving around town and listening to Arizona sports, it's kind of weird when they're talking about Ohio State football out here on the local radio. And it's because of their general manager. And I just found this out. Their GM is a Bobcat. I didn't even know that. Yeah. And so, but they talked about how coming like in scouting Ohio State players, when you show up to practice and watch Ohio State compete, they're like, holy smokes. Like, talk about an absolute battle. When you go there, like when you watch Ohio State practice, you're talking about NFL guys competing against NFL guys day in, day out. And I had tweeted in Devin Jordan, assistant wide receiver coach. He goes, iron sharpens iron here at Ohio State in reference to their general manager. And I think it's really cool. They're kind of going the route of the Eagles, because you see the Eagles, they're drafting a bunch of Georgia Bulldogs. And here you go with the Cardinals. They're picking up a ton of the Buckeyes. And they said they put a huge emphasis on the culture at Ohio State as far as how competitive it is, guys winning at a high clip, their football IQ coming out from Ohio State really helps guys at the next level. And they were very complimentary of Ryan Day in the type of program that he runs. So that's cool to hear. I mean, we all know that, Dave, because we follow it very closely. But just hearing it 1,600 miles away, an NFL organization saying, hey, this is a top-notch program that they're running at Ohio State.
$15 to go to my favorite stadium other than Ohio Stadium in the world, Sun Devil Stadium. I'm still going to call it Sun Devil Stadium forever. I know they sold the names, but man, that from 2002 to 05. Think about it. Obviously the 2002 national championship game, technically early 03, 2002 national championship game against Miami, one of the best games in Ohio State history at Sun Devil Stadium. The very next year they go to the Fiesta Bowl. They beat Kansas State in Sun Devil Stadium. 2 years later, they go back to the Fiesta Bowl. They beat Notre Dame. And then they had to move the game out to Glenville, damn it. And things have not gone as well there for us. But anyway, all right. Next up, Jonah and I are going to talk about D tackle. Is it possible Ohio State could still land one, even with Kirkland going to BYU? It's possible, but it'd have to be somebody who's not currently in the portal, because there's really nothing left that Ohio State would want. So, but there could be like a grad transfer. Somebody that's not even on our radar right now could decide, maybe through back channels, Ohio State would reach out and decide, you know what? Maybe I will decide to transfer here at the last minute, but it would have to be a grad transfer at this point, since you had to jump in the portal by April 25th. All right, before we get to that, let you guys know about Timeline again. This is a great product. Timeline's MitoPure supplements are the best supplements for healthy aging. I've been using them for over a month now. I can definitely tell a difference. Can't you guys tell? So why is taking Timeline's MitoPure supplements important to me? I feel stronger during my workouts. I recover quicker after I work out. I have more energy, period, and I want to support my cellular health. And speaking of that, cellular health is the foundation of well-being and longevity. All right, these MitoPure tablets from Timeline recharge your cells and support any goals you have by making your systems work better. As I've told you guys, as my youngest daughter taught me earlier this year, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And she asked me seriously, you know that, right, Dad? I was like, well, now I do. Thanks to you. And here's the deal we can get you guys. Timeline is offering 10% off your order of MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/Bucknuts to get 10% off. That's TIMELINE.com/Bucknuts to get 10% off. All right, J-Bucks, I'm sure you saw, I had a chance to ask Ryan Day about the D tackle situation. I just love how just relaxed he is and just how open he is about everything. I'm like, are you guys actively looking for a D tackle in the portal? This is on Tuesday. And how do you feel like that's going? And he said, yes, we are looking and we have been looking. but it has to be somebody that's better than most of the guys we have. We're not going to add somebody just to add it. And I was thinking maybe they'll get this kid, this big 330-pound dude from Oklahoma State. No, he's going to BYU, Justin Kirkland. I don't know, man. At this point, I think the roster's pretty much set.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get any more defensive tackles. Unfortunately, I do think that they needed one or two more bodies. I do believe that Ohio State really wanted one or two more bodies. But, I mean, they were chasing the Syracuse guy, but if he's getting rumor has it the Syracuse kid is getting about $1 million. I just can't see Ohio State paying what Texas is willing to overpay. The one thing that Ohio State has made it clear, they're going to run kind of their NIL and the way they operate similar to the NFL. If they have a guy that they really like, he has to be out of this world type of guy for him to be making more money than the bulk of the guys that are in your defensive line room. Now, the question has to be asked, what happens next? The only viable option now, Dave, is you got to get that next wave of guys ready to go. There's no if and buts about it, because you had an opportunity in the winter window to bring in a defensive tackle. The spring window didn't do it. Now you're going to have to rely on your guys. They're going to have to step up. That's the only way that this is going to work out, because going into fall camp right now, that probably the biggest question mark on defense, wouldn't you say? Defensive tackle depth, because you feel, because that's the biggest question mark. You feel really good about your starters. You feel good about every other position pretty much across the board. If something happens to K-Mac, we don't have another big body like that that's going to be able to be as disruptive. And the thing about McDonald is he's an absolute unit. Love the guy. He plays with relentless attitude. But the thing is, what is he, 330, some in those negative woods? Yeah. You can't expect him to be playing 60, 70 snaps a game. Like, it's just not going to be possible to do that. His body's not going to hold up. He hasn't played a ton of football. He's always flashed when given the opportunity, but expect for him to be playing 90% of the snaps in a football game, that's not realistic. So that's why I thought it was very important to get another big body in here. They weren't able to do it. So the only other option is, hey, got to get those next wave of guys. Like, that's why we were talking a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned Tywone Malone might be one of the key cogs on this defense, because if he can step up and play, now you can have a little, sigh of relief, like, we got a third guy that we feel really good about. And you paid him some money to come up here from Ole Miss, playing in the SEC. Like, it's time for him to get going. Like Jason Moore, when you look at Jason Moore, he should be one of the first guys off the school bus, because you look at him like 6'6", pushing 300. He looks like an absolute unit. So you definitely need to try to get a little bit more from him. And then Will Smith Jr. coming along, and Dominic Kerr, some of those other younger guys that you're hoping that's going to be able to pan out as well.
Eric Mentz is the other one that has a chance. Yeah. He obviously redshirted this past year, be a redshirt freshman. He's obviously not as big as Caden McDonald, but he's about 310, 315. Had a pretty good spring, but you nailed it though. I mean, two of those four guys have to step up. I don't know who they're going to be. I'm talking about Tywone Malone, Will Smith Jr., Jason Moore, and Eric Mensah. Okay, two of those guys to step up. Who's going to fill it the two deep? Because Caden McDonald was so damn good off the bench last year. Who's going to fill that void? Not necessarily like as big as he is, but like, who's going to be that, from a production standpoint, like the top backup D tackle. I wonder if Hero Canoe is completely regretting his decision, considering the fact that, and I don't think he's eligible to get NIL because he's on a foreign student visa. So Texas has landed like 4 other D tackles in the portal since they got him. So maybe Hero will come back to Ohio State, but yeah, man, they got to have one of those guys. Maybe it'll be Eric Mensah. I don't know.
Yeah, I almost wonder to myself if we're going to be seeing Ohio State's transition to more of a 3-4 type of defense, Dave. And it might be because of being forced to do it because of the personnel that you have. Because if you switch to a 3-4 defense, especially when you're bringing in the North Carolina transfer defense in, all of a sudden with CJ Hicks, you was like, okay, I have 5 guys on the ends that we feel that ready to rock and roll. I do not feel good about my defensive tackle depth. So if we start transitioning to a 3-4, which is, by the way, Matt Patricia's specialty, because that's what he ran in New England pretty much throughout his entire career, and Detroit was similar, a 3-4 defense, but he's always said that he's flexible. They can adjust the game plan depending on who the opponent is. But I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing a lot more elements in the 3-4. I know Larry is very gun-ho, headstrong about having his guys on the field for defensive linemen, but because of the lack of depth at the defensive tackle, I could see a situation where you have K-Mac playing that Vince Wilfork type of one technique in the middle, and then having some of the other defensive tackles kind of rolling in. And then if you do have like a 3-4 defense, because Edric Houston to me still kind of seems like a hybrid. I know he's going to be playing at the defensive tackle position, but in that type of scheme, you can have a jumbo type of defensive end, a guy that's pushing like 390 on the outside, because now you can have him flanked with some of those linebackers. Now you can have a Arvell Reese on the outside, on his outside hip, or Sonny, and then you can have your 4 backers on the field, because they really love where they're sitting with the linebackers and those younger guys that's come in and really stepped up as well.
That's absolutely right, because they love Peyton Pierce. We know they love Sonny, and we know they love Arvell Reese, and James Laurinaitis and Matt Patricia made it clear that Peyton Pierce is going to play a lot. So, yeah, you couple that they like the linebackers a lot. They have a lot of DNs that they like, and D tackle depth not good. I think you nailed it. And Patricia's history, as you said, running the 3-4. I think we will see a lot more 3-4 this year. And I understand Larry not wanting to do a 3-4 last year, man. All 4 of his linemen got drafted. One in the first round, one in the second round, one in the fourth round. That never should have lasted that long. 4th round tackle. Of course, he went to the Steelers. And then Ty Hamilton 5th round. So that was one of the all-time great Buckeye D lines right there. Defense wins championships. All right, they're leaving no stone unturned, man. And I like this. I'm not making fun of this. They got a Grant Mills are tapping into the North Carolina transfer portal again. Guys are just jumping off the Belichick, SS Belichick right now. I'm being facetious there, but Grant Mills redshirted last year at Carolina. He's coming here to be the backup behind John Furlman, who does a really good job. John Furlman, a former Arizona State Sun Devil. And Furlman will be entering his 3rd year as the starting long snapper, and he's good, but this is his final year at Ohio State. And we know it was 2 or 3 years ago when Bradley Robinson was having a really good year, but excuse me, I'm getting choked up talking about my guy, Brad Robinson. Then he got hurt, and then the backup long snapper wasn't doing good. It was, so I like how they're leaving no stone unturned. They didn't have another long snapper on the roster other than Furlman. So now that they have Grant Mills, I think their roster is pretty much set, Jay Book.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ryan Day said they're probably going to have 90 scholarship players coming into the fall. So you feel really good about this roster here. I do like these special teams pickup. It's not going to make a big splashy headline, not going to be talked about so much on the message board. But big picture, when you're looking at this roster, Dave, the margins are going to be thin in certain areas. And the one that could be the tipping scale is special teams. Okay, special teams, it got a little better compared to what it was under Parker Fleming. Now, can we take another step forward with Nate Ebner also there helping with the special teams, came over from the Patriots? Can he help take the special teams to another level? So if you get some pieces that's going to give you that 1%, 2% edge in a tight battle, in a tight ball game, I'm all for it. Because you look at the schedule, Dave, you're probably talking about Ohio State having 3 top 10 matchups on the schedule this year. Obviously, the first game against Texas, Penn State's going to be a top 5 matchup, and the sneaky one is going to be Illinois. At Illinois, that's going to be a top 10 matchup. I'm calling it right now, because when you look at it, they're returning 18 starters, their starting quarterback, their entire offensive line. They're similar to how Indiana was built, to where they have a ton of veterans coming back next year. And then you look at their schedule, they have an absolutely layup type of schedule heading into that Ohio State game. So they're a team that already won 10 games last year, beat South Carolina in the bowl game last year. and then you return 18 starters off a 10-win team with your entire starting offensive line and quarterback back, and they have some pickups in the portal. So I think that's going to be a top 10 matchup right there. So it's going to be fascinating because you look at Julian Sand and Lincoln Keenholz. I forgot to ask you that. Are you buying that Coach Day saying that Keenholz was ahead of Julian Sand going into that spring game, or you just think it was coach speak?
Coach speak. And I know earlier I said I love how open he's being, but I don't mind. You can't be when I say he's being open, I mean for a football coach, because they have to lie. They have part of the job is lying to the media, and I'm a media guy, so I don't even mind it. But he's not going to tip his hand. He knows who his guy is, and I think it's Julian saying, no, I'm not buying that Lincoln was ahead, and then Julian's then had a better spring game, and now it's dead even, like it's 50-50. We're supposed to believe like not even 51-49, but this is how Ryan Day does it. I have no problem with it. Even when it was Justin Fields against Gunnar Hoke, he's like, I don't know, it's a real competition. So I don't have a problem with it. But I was not buying that. What about you?
Yeah, I kind of go with what you're saying here. I think we all thought that Julian Sand was going to be the guy, but hey, nothing wrong with gassing your other guy up. And I think Keenholz was mentioned on the Josh Pate podcast by Ryan Day, and he was talking about how freaky he is, athletic, saying that Keenholz is out. He can throw down some windmill dunks, and the guy that was a 3-sport athlete coming out of high school that was absolutely phenomenal. And finally, he's year 3 into the program to where he's only been focusing on football. So you really saw a pretty big jump in his development from last year to where they're at right now. But I still think it's going to be Julian Sand. I mean, I think it's FanDuel has the quarterback or the Heisman's up, and I think Julian Sand is like plus 1,300, the highest Buckeye, even over JJ for the Heisman or something like that. So they know something is going on, and I think that if Sand given the opportunity to really open it up, he's going to be an absolute star, because you guys were at the press conference the other day, and Ryan Day just kindly and subtly just brags when our own Pat Murphy asked him about the weapons on offense. Coach Day just politely, yeah, we're loaded. We're going to be. I mean, he didn't say. He said it without actually saying it. He was just like, yeah, we're going to be 5 deep in running back. We got Turbo coming in from Alabama in the fall, so we're going to be 5-6 deep at running back. This is the deepest that we've ever been in the tight end room as far as playmakers. When you add Max Clare there, he goes. We have a plethora of wide receivers with all different skill sets. So he's just like, hey, I got a whole army of wide receivers at my disposal that I'm ready to unleash on college football. And then you add on like, hey, we feel really good about our offensive line. So yeah, he's like, we're loaded on offense. And I thought I was cracking up laughing when Pat asked him that question, and he starts going down the line talking about how deep they are at each position on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm convinced if they get good quarterback play, it doesn't even have to be great, good quarterback play, and they can figure out the depth situation at D tackle, although that might be mitigated by them playing more 3-4s we're talking about. If they can figure those two things out, they're going to be a big problem for everyone. I do want to circle back. Speaking of D tackle, before I let you go, I want to circle back on D tackle and the 3 true freshmen they're going to have. 2 of them enrolled early, and one of them is going to enroll this summer. All of them were, well, Maxwell Roy was actually a 4-star. He's the one that did not enroll early. He's out. Mm-hmm. He's out of the pipeline there, St. Joseph's Prep in Philadelphia. So all these guys are about the same size. Maxwell Roy is the only 4-star, low 4-star, but still a 4-star, ranked as the number 33 D tackle in the country. 6'3", 285 pounds. I don't know much about him. I did see the other guys a lot during spring. The other 2 guys. One is Jarquez Carter from Newberry, Florida. The other Trajan Odom from North Carolina. Again, both those guys. Carter 6'2", 284. Odom listed at 6'4", 285. Do you know much about these guys? Can we? Because Carter and Odom look like they're guys that maybe could help in the future, but they're probably a year away, in my opinion. Can any of these guys help right away?
Well, that's a great question, because when you look at a place like Ohio State, it's asking a lot for a true freshman to come in and really be an impact type of player. Those are typically your very special guys. And on the defensive line, it's really about the strength. Like, how can you handle the point of attack? And then when you start talking about the guys in the middle, then that's another story. It's can they provide some depth? I say they potentially can, but I don't feel comfortable putting a lot of stock in true freshmen, because here's the thing: when you look at what you currently have as far as defensive tackles, are those guys significantly better coming in as true freshmen than what you currently have for guys that have been in the program for 2 to 3 years? If the answer is yes, Dave, now you're talking about someone who is potentially very special as a true freshman. If they're kind of, a step below even, the way that Larry operates, I can see him always leaning towards playing the guy who's been in the program a little bit longer, because they believe that those guys have been with Coach Mick a lot longer. They're going to be able to handle the grind. You could probably see some spot duty for some freshmen coming in 4 or 5 snaps just to give a little breather. But if they do find someone who can play, that's now a cherry on top, Dave, because you don't go into the season thinking like, oh boy, we need to rely on some freshmen. Because if you are having to rely on some freshmen, you might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, hopefully one of those three can just somewhat provide a little bit of depth.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's asking a lot to even that for those guys, especially not being highly ranked, being true freshmen. All right, my man. Great stuff as always. I appreciate it.
Hey,
He's for Jonah Booker. Yes,
hold
sir.
on, hold on. I'll be remiss to ask you, what do you think about Bill Belichick and the 24-year-old, the whole thing that's blowing up down there?
I think it's extremely strange, and I'm not one of these people. It's like, this is not a story. I'll admit it. Like I'm like intrigued by it. I think it's a lot of things, man. It's hilarious. It's weird. I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird just period, dating a girl that's 50 years younger than you. That's weird. I mean, I know that, listen, I'm not naive. I know these type of things happen, but like, that'd be weird enough, but she's like controlling his life. And
Yeah.
like, I want to know how they met, because the idea, if they just met like innocently on a plane, she wouldn't have cut that question off. Like,
Right.
apparently she did it multiple times. Now I wonder, how did they really meet for her to like cut that question? I think the whole thing is fascinating. What about
And
you?
yeah, and now that they're saying that she has a $9 million real estate portfolio in the last couple of months, I mean, that's a slippery slope. And then I also saw that his daughter-in-law, the wife of his son, who's his defensive coordinator,
Yes.
she called her out as well for being unprofessional, for being a PR, spokesperson or something like that. So I don't know, man. If you're North Carolina, you're probably looking around like, holy smokes, what did we get ourselves into here? Like, who is this kid? I mean, 24 years old, and she's like pretty much telling this guy who's a legend what to do. It's just weird, man, all the way around. Like, I don't see a situation where this ends well at all. Like, I hate to say it, man, but Bill better be careful. He might be in too deep here.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, I was already interested to see how he's going to do just as head coach at North Carolina. That in itself is a story. Then you add this in.
Yeah.
You add in the fact that if they get married, this 24-year-old is going to be Steve Belichick's stepmom. Think about that.
Yeah.
That'll be his stepmom if they get
I
married.
will say this: they better win, Dave. They better win, because the last thing that people are going to be dealing with is a loser program with all of this sideshow clown stuff that's going on over here between his girlfriend and stuff. If you're winning and you're winning at a high clip, people will tolerate and put up with a lot of stuff, and they'll spin a narrative to try to, cover the program. But if you're out here winning 5 games and you're not even bowl eligible, and you're having to deal with this nonsense over there, people aren't going to tolerate that.
No, not good. Not good at all. All right, my man. I appreciate it very much. I'm glad you threw in some what's her name? Is it Jordan Hudson or something like
Yeah,
that? She doesn't even spell Jordan correctly, and she's at North Carolina. Come on.
I know it.
Come on. You got to spell Jordan right at least. No. All right, my man. I'll get you out of here. I appreciate it as always. He's Mr. Jonah Booker. Thank you, sir.
Take care. Talk to you next week, Dave.
All right. Thank you very much to Jay Book. Hilarious. Now, I will say this. If you're North Carolina, like, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, you'd rather Bill Belichick be there without the circus along with it, but, like, I'd rather have that than just typical North Carolina football. And we're talking about it here on a Bucknuts podcast, on an Ohio State podcast. People are talking about, I mean, I think The Athletic has done a new story every day on it. CBS came out and had to shoot down what she said. She came out there. Belichick said that he wrote it. There's no way he wrote that PR statement. She wrote that, saying they agreed beforehand that only questions about his book would be asked. CBS immediately came out and said, no, and we have the receipts. That nothing like that was agreed upon. Here's the documents that were sent back and forth. So she's lying. What a mess. I didn't expect to be talking about that on the show, but I just, I already felt like I kept J-Book too long. But he wanted to talk a little bit about Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend. Just can't imagine. You're 74 years old and you're dating a 24-year-old. And I know it's not the first time or the last time that's going to happen, that an old man's going to date it. But it's just, Emily, you said it best. Everything you were saying, Emily, I agree with. It's gross. Whatever else you said, I'm just going to, whatever Emily said, I'm going to go with. All right, I'm going to leave you guys with this. A great deal you guys can get from Cornbread Hemp. It is time to experience your healthy happy hour. Cornbread Hemp provides a natural and healthier way to experience a carefree moment. Cornbread's THC gummies offer a balanced sense of happiness and relaxation. Geez, Bill Belichick might need some of those. These are America's only USDA-approved organic THC gummies. Real THC, no synthetics, 100% legal hemp, fast and free shipping. If you're looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give Cornbread Hemp a try. They've created the first ever USDA-approved organic THC gummy that's 100% legal. As a special offer for Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners, you can get 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. Use promo code Bucknuts at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour. Any final questions before I actually that's I guess that I see what you guys are saying in the chat. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. You guys are cracking me up. Any final questions here before we close up shop here on a Friday? If you guys are not Bucknut subscribers, good time to sign up. It's only $9.99 a month. Give it a try. We have the most robust Buckeye message board, the front row message board. It's crazy. We'll have like an interesting topic. The next day it's on the second page. Sometimes it's hard to keep up, but it's if you were looking for a vibrant Ohio State message board with only VIP subscribers, excuse me, I think I'm coming down with something. I'm getting choked up talking about the front row message board, but seriously, it's just VIP subscribers. So it's not like anybody can go in there and post. So it's really cool, and it's I highly recommend it. Not that I'm biased or anything. All right, we should do that. We should do that. Buck Rational subscribers get the first crack at the basking shirts. That's right. You guys would definitely be at the front of the list. We need to do the t-shirts. We need to do that. Dan and I think that's a great idea. We need to make it happen. All right. I appreciate J-Book. Come on, Emily. Come on. It's tempted. Come on. It's $9.99 a month. You'll love it. I promise. And you can cancel after a month if you don't like it. You're out $9.99. Come on, Emily. We'd love to have you as a member of Bucknuts, and you'll enjoy it. I promise you. All right, my friends. Thank you very much. Thanks to J-Book. Thanks to all of you. I appreciate it very much. Hope everyone has a great day, a great weekend. Go Bucks. Still basking.